Hello Gobs and welcome back to a different episode today. Not really an episode, but it is going to be the first part of the only Magic the Gathering set review I'll ever do on this channel, just because, well, unless they do another Universes Beyond with a different RPG series that I have played and enjoyed, this will probably be the only time I ever do a set review on the channel. So I'm going to go, since I haven't played through all of them yet, I'm only going to be reviewing the cards from the ones that I have played. As you can see here on the screen, I'm at the Magic the Gathering official website. I'm just going to filter it by the game. I'm going to look at all the cards from that game and see which ones I like. And as a preface, I should say I am a Commander player. I do like watching standard and modern and other limited or constructed formats. I like to watch drafts and whatnot. I'm not one of those Commander players. I hate all the other type of formats out there. So that's just a little bit about me. Okay, I don't play high power or anything. I just like to slap my cards in a deck and go. Like I have a Zidane deck that I made recently about sealing people's creatures and then giving them away to make the treasure tokens and whatnot. And then I've also made a Kefka deck that's just wizards and villains from the set, so not all the villains are wizards, but I can make them into wizards using the equipment from the set. So I try to put as many Final Fantasy cards in there as possible. If you couldn't tell by my Final Fantasy series, I am a big fan of Final Fantasy and I love this set, but I do have my gripes about it. After I review Final Fantasies 1 through 8, that's what I'm doing today. That's like a good halfway. Well, it literally is halfway because we have 16 main entries to Final Fantasy as of now. That's what I'm doing. I'm just going to review each card, not every card. I'm only going to review it for Commander. I don't want to give input like, ooh, this might be good in Standard. It might be good in Standard. But I'm going to just rate it based on like Commander, how much I like the card. At the end, I think I already said this, but at the end I'm going to go through and then I'm going to list some of my gripes I have about the set. I have some hot takes or maybe some cold takes. I don't know, I have some opinions that I'm going to go over. I think as of now, I'm done buying packs, and I'm just going to wait to get some more money. I'm just going to order what I want. If there's something you really want that isn't a Surge foil or whatever isn't a collector booster, then I would say just order it. Okay, always buy singles, that's what we say in Commander. So, but I do enjoy cracking packs to see what I can get. So anyways, that's it. That's my preamble. Let's review the first 1 through 8. Then I'm going to give my opinions. I really wanted to get some Ultra Pro playmats, but any of my local game stores did not have any. But I rambled on. That's the intro. I'm just reviewing the set, so this isn't my usual type of video. Normally I play RPGs or I talk about tabletop RPGs, but this does coincide with an RPG. But this is just a miscellaneous video, so do not expect Magic the Gathering content from me unless I specifically, like, I'll make a community post if I'm going to ever do anything Magic, or unless you guys just want to see me do more Magic. I don't know, I have some stuff on Arena, I guess. I could always do that, but the main point of this channel is not Magic the Gathering. This is just like a one-off video, so without further ado, let's just get into the set review. And yes, you're going to painstakingly see how I'm going to do this. So I'm just going to go to the official website, and then you can filter it by games. So I'm just going to filter it to Final Fantasy 1, starting off. I've seen a lot of the set, or practically all of the set. Usually you do a set review if you don't know what cards are going to be in it, but let's just go at it. First of all, we have Slash a Light. Slash a Light deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of equipment you control to target creature. I think that's fairly fun. I can't really tell you if it captures the game fairly well, because in Final Fantasy 1 you select your classes at the beginning, which upgrade later. I wish the equipment sort of had a transform mechanic to it, but that's not the biggest thing ever. It doesn't really matter. Then when you have White Mage's Staff, Phoenix Down, those are classic. I like how Phoenix Downs work because in the game, you know, you use Phoenix Down to get a creature back, or you can use it and insta-kill undead creatures, so that's fun. Thief's Knives, it's a general, this is what thieves do in Magic. There's a lot of rogues in blue that have this sort of effect, so it makes sense for Thief's Knives to be a blue card. We have Black Mage's Rod. I love this equipment. I think it's probably one of the better equipments, but it's really good in my wizard deck. Obviously, it makes the non-wizards into wizards, and then it comes with the wizard effect from this set, which is whenever you cast a non-creature spell, this creature deals 1 damage to each opponent, which triggers with lifelink. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with this, so I enjoy Black Mage's Rod. It's one of my favorite cards from the set. And I just like Black Mages. They're one of my favorite classes, okay? I wish it was Flare Magic. I haven't seen that as a card yet. And I really haven't seen a card reference it besides Mega Flare and Giga Flare. But anyways, let's move on. We have the Red Mage's Rapier. Of course, I do like the Job Select mechanic. It's a mechanic we've seen previously, like for Meridian, which when this equipment enters, you get to make a rebel, attach it to it. It's a pretty good effect, a living weapon. I think there's one more. But anyways, I do enjoy these effects. You play the equipment, and you automatically get a body equipped to it, because the equip cost, as you can see, can be pretty pricey. But Red Mage's Rapier, it's not a card that goes in every deck. I wouldn't even put it in a Spellslinger deck, but I put it in my Wizards deck just because I like the flavor. Okay, Final Fantasy. And it makes the equipped creature a wizard. Warrior Sword makes him into a warrior. It's pretty okay. A lot of these are common, so there's not much to say about them. I like the flavor of them. Then we have Dragon of Mount Gulag, which is a Through the Ages variant of Ancient Copper Dragon. And I actually pulled this one, and I was very happy whenever I pulled it. So I could slap it in my Dragon deck now. Town Greeter, I think... I don't know about Town Greeter. I like Town Greeter. You can even put it in a deck that doesn't have towns. You mill 4, return land, and then you can flicker, reanimate it just to mill some cards. So I think if Citrus Supplier can mill 6 cards upon entering and leaving, I think a card that just enters and mills 4 and can get a land back, because it says you may put a land back, so you can just let everything hit the graveyard. And then it has this little added benefit of if you return a town, you get 2 life. Most of these decks that have these mill effects probably aren't going to use towns. And we have Princess Sarah as Azusa. I love the artwork. I wish I got it. I don't really care for the effect. These are basically essentially just in-game proxies or art or whatever you want to call it. But we have the Cloud Sea Djinn. I actually don't remember it from the game. Princess Sarah, I remember from the game. I wish there was a Princess Sarah's Harp was in the artifact in this one, and I don't know, it had to revolve around lands or towns or something. I think that would have been pretty fun. But they can't put every single reference in every single game into this set, because obviously we have to milk Final Fantasy 7 and 14 Falador Wharf. But again, I just love the artwork. I'm pretty sure Through the Ages are just like snapshots either from official artwork for the game. Like if you play the Pixel Remasters, it has like the gallery sections. So you can go and see all the artwork that this original artist made for the game. Look at Garland. You get 2 different versions of Garland. He flips Chaos. Okay, pretty awesome. Put it on the bottom of the library. I love that effect because it plays it into the game. Obviously, that's what they were going for. Essentially, can never die because he hits the graveyard. You pay that mana, transform him, he dies. You put him on the bottom, and then you can like do a shuffle effect, draw him again, replay him, and you just keep looping him over and over, just like in Final Fantasy 1. And then we have the Warrior Light, all 5 colors as Joda the Unifier. Very powerful commander, must kill, legendary cascade is insane, and then the buff on them is also incredibly insane. I made a 5-color Opps All Heroes deck with Warrior Delight as the commander. It's a fun deck. I love it. I haven't ordered the cards yet, but when I get the money in, I'm going to order the cards. It's literally every single protagonist and then every single like supporting character. So like we have Cecile and Rosa, we have Squall and Renoa, we have Noctis and his 3 friends. But you get the idea. It's all the protagonists and all their supporting characters, not all of them. Sadly, there's almost too many heroes to put into the deck to actually... I still want the deck to function properly, but I do have all the main characters and their love interests or friends if any. And then we just have artifacts. We have the treasure tokens. I like these treasure tokens. They're one of my favorite treasure artwork. Who would have guessed? We have the Adventurer's Airship. It's a pretty much just, what is it, Smuggler's Copter, but overpriced. I'm still going to play it. I still like it. But I'm just saying, Smuggler Copters, you get the same effect. And it activates on a block, too. So, Monk's Fist, nothing special. Makes it a monk for all your monk tribal decks out there. Then we have World Map. This artifact is extremely good. I really like this artifact. You can just search for basic land and get it into your hand. Or if you really want to, you can search for any land and just put it into your hand. It's like Expedition Map, but more modal to it. And then we have Starting Town. Starting Town's great. It's not really a card you would... I think you could get away with it in dual color, but you should probably keep it to like 3+ colors, because at that point, if you're in dual colors, you might as well just run the dual untapped lands. Not the OG like $900, but you know, the ones like if you have 2 or more opponents, this one enters untapped. So again, guys, I'm basing this completely off of Commander. And then we have these land artworks. I love every single land card from this set. They all look amazing. I love them all. But yes, I like the towns. I hate guild gates, but I love towns. So I'll run towns in any Final Fantasy deck, or deck that has a Final Fantasy as a commander, because then I'm trying to put as many Final Fantasy cards in that deck as possible. And I'm going to make a lot of Final Fantasy commanders, okay? Anyways, that's it for Final Fantasy 1. I wish there was a tad bit more equipment, but I can understand, because Final Fantasy 1 has a bunch of D&D creatures, so I can understand not wanting to put the D&D creatures in there like a Mind Flayer, to confuse it with Mind Flayers that we already have from the Dungeons and Dragons set we already have. So that makes sense. I like the Black Mage's Rod. It's probably my favorite card out of here. And the Warrior of Light. That was a good through the ages. So anyways, that was Final Fantasy 1. And this is probably going to speed up now. I've talked about a lot of things already, so let's get to Final Fantasy 2. Starting off with our first named hero, we have Minwu, the White Mage, which is very good cleric tribal. Holy moly, he's so good in clerics. He has Vigilance, he has Lifelink, goated keywords already for 3/3, and then whenever you gain life, you put a counter on each cleric you control. That's crazy, right? There's so many ways to do little increments. I had a life gain deck, and there's so many different cards you can put that you gain life throughout each of your steps. So like there's an upkeep one, you have the Mono Rock that you tap and you gain a life, you have all the little cantrips that gain you life and every little thing, and then you're just buffing all your clerics up by +1, including him. So you can swing in and you can put like an Odric or something in there. Even though he's not a cleric, you can use White Mage's Rod to make him a cleric, and then you can free swing in every single time. I mean, I think he's a pretty fun mono white cleric commander, or just, I think there's Orzhov cleric commanders out there that you can just put him in there, because most clerics have life gain on them. I love Fenrion, the Swordmaster, being Scram, Senior Artificer. Then we have a different Minwu, but it's just through the ages. It's Mongara, the Diplomat, also a very good card, and a cleric, so you can put him in Minwu. You can have 2 Minwus in your Minwu deck. I might make a mono white Minwu deck at this point. We have Swallowed by the Leviathan. Choose target spell, surveil 2, then counter this chosen spell unless its controller pays 1 for each card in your graveyard. I think this is very good if you're trying to get cards into your graveyard. It does get to do the surveilling itself, so you do get to manipulate the top card of your library. And it just gets better if you have more cards in your graveyard. Especially because there's these decks, like a lot of the villains want you to have cards in your graveyard. So this spell, I think, is a good include in those type of decks. Then we have the Wild Rose Rebellion, which is a through the ages of counterspell. I love the artwork. I think I'm going to like all the artwork on all the variant. Like the Minwu here, it's very good artwork. Oh, I love this card. 1 in the black. Enters, each opponent discards. Seen this before. It's this body that just enters, hates on hands, and then it becomes a blocker later. Next we have Fenrion, Wild Rose Warrior. Equipped creatures you control have haste. 2 in a red. Human Rebel Warrior are next. I didn't read Minwu's stats. I'm probably not going to read their stats. Just to speed this up, there is a lot of cards we have to get through, especially once we hit our 6 or 7. So you'll have to forgive me if I'm not sitting down and reading out all the effects of the cards. But Furion. Whenever a non-token equipment you control enters, create a token, except it has this equipment's equipped activated abilities cost 2 less. Sacrifice the token at the beginning of the next upkeep. So not your upkeep, just whenever you pass the turn, you have to sacrifice this equipment. Or if you're in the right, any red colored deck that has artifact where you can sacrifice them. I mean, if you're running equipment alongside them, you can also do that too. I mean, what is it? The Phantom Train lets you sacrifice artifacts to put a counter on it. So you can sacrifice these effects once you use the equipment. Once you use the equipment, you can just go to the end of the turn, sacrifice the artifact before you have to sacrifice it at the next upkeep, get the counter on Phantom Train. I think he's a very fun... Actually, he might even be a very fun mono-red commander. I'm not sure what equipment you could double up. But you could double up all the previous equipment, I suppose, and all the equipment that we'll read after. I like both versions, both artworks. I want both artworks for my collections. I want the regular card and I want the cool variant card. Then we have Random Counter. I absolutely love this card. I just see nothing but upsides. 4 and 2 red for sorcery. 6 and 2 red, you can flashback it. You shuffle your library, mill 4, put each creature milled this way onto the battlefield. They gain haste. At the beginning of the next end step, you put them back into your hand. Is that not crazy? I think that's crazy. Now, you can't manipulate the top card of your library because you shuffle it and then you flip it. But I love that random chaos effect added to it. And then if this card gets incidentally milled away, it has flashback on it. And there's a lot of flashback synergy in this set. But I just love that effect. And if you are in, like, red scary creatures deck, like I have mono red dragons, I'd love this card in mono red dragons. I know 6 mana is a lot, but I have some dragons that want me to cast these high drop sorceries. And I think this would be one I would be happy to cast. But you can flip into, like bottom, you flip into nothing, but you mill 4 cards. Top, each 4 card is a creature that goes straight onto the battlefield. They gain haste. You can swing in with them, or whatever you want to do with them, and then if you don't do anything with them, you get them back into your hand to cast next turn. So you get to keep said creatures. So you can put on big scary creatures, and then, I don't know, you could like bypass a board wipe or something if you already have a scary board, but now you just have fuel to refuel the thing. So it might scare people off from casting a board wipe, I guess. Anyways, let's move on. We have the Chocobos, bird tokens. I love these tokens, are so cute. We have Colossal Behemoth. Whenever you get trapped in the Emperor's Castle the first time, he makes you fight a Behemoth. I like this card. 7 for 7/7 trample. When it enters, you can either blow up something or draw a card. And you can flicker it, reanimate it, blah blah blah, the usual spiel. It's kind of an overpriced Rec Sage. And then this draw card, Elvish Speaker or something. But you get both of them on them. Not the greatest card, but just to be able to run just big, beefy 7/7 trampler, I think it's fairly fine. Then we have Commune with Beavers, which is like Adventurous Impulse. But Commune with Beavers, when you're in that one dungeon, Guy, who isn't a card, mind you. Maria and Guy aren't cards in the deck. Usually you can pick land or creature. But this one lets you get your artifacts and your green deck, I suppose. Then we have the Emperor of Palamusia. I think it's Palamusia? I think that's how you say it. But anyways, you can tap, add blue or red, spend this mana to cast a non-creature. For blue and a red, you get a little mana Dirk. And then whenever you cast a non-creature, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, which also counts for flashback, I'm fairly certain. You put a counter on it, and then if it has 3 or more counters, so if you could just get a counter on it and just start flipping him anyways, like, I don't know, you have some type of weird proliferate deck, but then he flips. Whenever he attacks, it deals X damage, where X is the number of non-creatures, non-land cards in your graveyard. I think that's a fairly powerful effect, and you're in red, so you could do extra combats. You're in blue-red, so you could do extra turns, extra combats. I think he's a very fun commander by himself. But also, again, I have that Kefka Wizard deck. I want him in there. He's one of the villains. He's got to go in that Kefka deck. And then we have D-Sids. Now, D-Sids, because Final Fantasy 1 didn't have a Sid, had a Sid in name. They talk about a Sid, but there's no actual Sid in Final Fantasy 1. But 2 to 16, all of them have Sids. I don't know about 11, but all the other ones at least have a Sid, and I love this effect so much. I think for the cards that say a deck can have any number of discard, I think Sid is probably my favorite one, because all the other ones are like, this creature gets +1/+1, like Relentless Rats, it gets +1/+1 for each other card named Relentless Rats on the battlefield. And then you have like Petitioners. They just get better for each named copy you have on a card. I think you have the Red Dragon Sorcery, deals 4 to each opponent. And I think Sid is probably my favorite one, because it says artifact creatures and heroes you control get +1/+1 for each artifact you control and each artificer card in your graveyard. You don't only have to play Sid in this deck. You can just play any Artificer in this deck. It's great. I think this is a very fun deck. You can even run him as the commander and have a bunch of Sids in the graveyard. To me, I think a fun deck would just have all 15 Sids and then fill the rest with Artificer. It's weird Artificer Tribal, which I don't think we've seen Artificer Tribal yet. So I love this card. I love the Sids, even though they miss some of the heroes. Crossroads Village. Enters tapped, pick a color. It taps for any mana of that color. And then a beautiful swamp. I love these lands. But, as I was saying, even though they don't have Maria or Guy, I think Guy would have been fun if he, instead of commune with beavers, you could actually have Guy make beavers. That would have been fun. I don't know about Maria. Just another equipment. That's what we need. We needed more equipment support in this, right guys? For Final Fantasy II, they did a fairly great job at the cards they did put in here. I think I said I liked just about every card in here except for like the green cards, but everything else, like having the Sid and Emperor, oh, they're so good. It's just good. Now we have Final Fantasy III, starting off with the Crystal's Chosens. 5 and 2 white for a sorcery. You create 4 1/1 colorless hero creature tokens that put a counter on each creature you control. Kind of mid, I'm gonna be honest. Because we have like Basuri's Solidarity, which is 1 and a white for a sorcery, put a counter on each creature you control. And then I don't know if creating 4 bodies warrants 7 mana, especially when we have like the soldier spell. You put a 1/1 soldier for each other creature on the battlefield, if there are no other creatures. But mid game, each opponent's probably going to have like 2 to 3 creatures. This card's kind of mid to me. I do love the artwork on it. The artwork's absolutely fantastic, but I think for 5 and 2 white, I think it just doesn't do enough for what it wants to do. But I'm sure in the right deck, it's a banger. As a all-around card or as a card to build around, it's kind of just mid to me. And then we have the Wind Crystals, which for Final Fantasy III, they have each of the crystals. I think all the crystals are good. Some of them you kind of have to have a deck that works with them, but all of them reduce the colored spells by 1. So we have the Wind Crystal for 2 and 2 white, legendary artifact, so you can't copy it unless you're running a Shakashima deck or any other deck that says ignore the legend rule. We have white spells cost 1 less. If you would gain life, you gain twice that much life instead. And then for 6 mana, 4 and 2 white, tap it. Creatures you control gain flying and lifelink. That is a powerful effect. And you can put it in a cleric deck. And all of these modes work for the cleric decks. Awesome. I mean, these crystals are awesome when they're in the right deck. The Wind Crystal is just not a crystal you can put in every white deck, unless you really want the white spells cost 1 less. So like if you're running a mono white deck, then yeah, go ahead and put the Wind Crystal in there. I think that's just a good include. It's like having Pearl Medallion, which is the 2-drop artifact that says your white spells cost less. Well, actually, I used to think those were super expensive, but now they're kind of in the same price range. But those just are a 2-drop artifact that makes your white spells cost 1 less. This is a 4-drop, but it has 2 other modes to it. And if you don't use the gain to twice as much life, you can always use the bottom one, which uses the second one, because flying and lifelink, that's very good evasion. And even if you don't get the evasion, you get the lifelink. And then the lifelink triggers the second part of the Wind Crystal. I think it's a pretty good all-rounder to put in at least a mono white deck. But let's move on. The Hero Light as Adeline. There is no named hero card. I think there's no named hero cards in 3. I think 3 has some of the least amount of cards. They do have the crystals, which make them powerful. But there's no named heroes. There's no Onion Knight card, I think. I might be wrong. But we have the Hero Light as Adeline. It has the cover art, well, not the cover art, but it's the artwork for the heroes in the game, or at least one of them. I drew a goblin for it for my Final Fantasy III video, so That's how I know about it. But it's Adeline. Adeline's a good card. Move on. We have the Water Crystal. Now, I think the Water Crystal might be the weakest one, just because not every blue deck's gonna mill. I mean, again, reducing your spells by one less is fairly good ramp, but I don't think every blue deck mills. And again, you have the second ability, which does mill, which does help with the second. But again, not every blue deck wants to mill, and I don't think this, out of all of them, I think this is the one that you kind of don't just put into every single blue deck. But who knows? I don't know how many incidental mill cards there are to make this card good for those blue decks. The Water Crystal is probably the weakest, in my opinion, of the Crystal cycle. We have Master Zandy, the main villain, or not the main villain, but he's one of the villains that you chase throughout the game. He's practically the main villain until the end. He comes back as Venzer, pretty okay. Then we have To the Crystal Tower, which is the Cryptic Command. I love this artwork. I didn't see this artwork in the gallery, but this artwork is very good. I like this artwork. And it's just a good spell. I think this Cryptic Command's a great spell for 4 mana. We have the Aura Man. Flying, Death Touch 3, tap it, sacrifice another creature or artifact, draw a card, 2 in a black. It's okay. The Darkness Crystal. Black spells cost 1 less. If a non-token creature an opponent would die, exile it instead. Was that Leyline of the Void, except Leyline of the Void says all cards, but we have a bunch of effects in black like this, where if the card leaves, then you get to exile it. And then for 6 mana, you get to put target creature exiled with the Darkness Crystal onto the battlefield tapped under. You don't get to put all of them. It gets 2 +1/+1 counters. It's an okay effect. I think it just works better. I think it works just for an incidental effect of hating on creatures dying for your opponents, and it goes underneath it. And then you also gain life off of it, so you could put the Darkness Crystal and the Whiteness Crystal together in your Orzhov Cleric deck. Yeah, it's good. And then we have the Fire Crystal, which is probably the best one, because you can kind of just slam this in any red deck that has a creature. I mean, there are red decks, like, you're not going to put this in your Storm deck, but I want to put this in my Dragon deck because it's mono red. I think the crystals are very awesome in mono red, and then the more colors you add, they start to lose their potency based on your deck build. You might have Izzet, but it's more blue than red, so then you'll want to put the Water Crystal in there because all your blue spells cost 1 less or something like that. But I think the red crystal is probably the most that you could just probably slam in most red decks and have it be really good. So it's 2 and 2 red for a legendary artifact, obviously. Red spells cost 1 less. Creatures you control have haste. Already a great effect. And then for 4 and 2 red, you create a token that's a copy of target creature you control. I think the effect's a bit overcosted for 6 mana, but I get they're trying to fit with the theme. Maybe if you made 2 copies, but then that might just be broken, so 1 copy is a pretty good place to be. But you just get to make a copy of the best thing among your creatures. So again, I think the Fire Crystal is just a banger. Now we have Item Shopkeep, 1 in a red, Human Citizen for 2/2. When you attack, target equipped creature gains menace. Yeah, it's kind of nothing. Whatever. Let's move on. Then we have the final crystal, I think, which is the Earth Crystal. Green spells cost 1 less. If 1 or more counters would be put onto a creature you control, put twice that many counters on that creature instead. And green has a bunch of +1/+1 counter decks out there. So this card, it's kind of like the blue deck. It's kind of like, okay, how many green decks are you running that you put counters on stuff? But do you have the activated ability, which is 6. Distribute 2 +1/+1 counters among 1 or 2 targets creatures you control. So with the second activated ability, you can either give a creature 4 counters, or you give 2 different creatures 2 +1/+1 counters. So again, it's kind of not, the white and the red ones are kind of like slam dunks, and then the black one is great, I think, and then the green and the blue one are kind of like because green really doesn't need these effects that your rain spells cost 1 less, in my opinion, because green is the ramp spell. But if you have green-white +1/+1 counters, then this card is a slam dunk, okay? I think it's fairly good. Again, if you can build around the crystal, then it's fairly good. So now, we have the Cloud of Darkness. 1 swamp, 2 green, for a legendary creature avatar, 3/3, flying. Particle Beam. When Cloud of Darkness enters, target creature an opponent controls gets -X/-X, where X is the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. It's kind of an okay commander. Again, you could always say def and reanimate it over and over to slowly remove all your creatures, but it's not a fairly powerful commander. I would have loved it to put it in my Kefka deck, but it has green in it, and Kefka does not have green. But I like it. I think it's it's not the most powerful effect for 5 mana, but again, I guess you can kill it and reanimate it, but I think there's better creatures that are better at... I mean, would you rather have this or Ravenous Kupachabra, which is like 3 and 1 black, or 2 and 2 black? Which the Kupachabra says destroy target creature, and then this, you kind of get the added bonus. If you have a bunch of permanents, you can kind of just kill anything, even if it has indestructible. But Cloud of Darkness, it's okay. I mean, it's an uncommon. What do you want from it? And then we have Sid. I like this version of Sid. I've kind of forgot how lighthearted Final Fantasy III was right until the end. I wish we had a Princess Area card. But we have Zandi, Dark Mage, Menace. Gets +1/+1 for each non-creature, non-land card in your graveyard. This is like a self-mill deck at a rare, but it has Menace, 2 blue and a black. Wizard, I want him in my wizard deck. Then we have Crystal the Altar Cave, which is Chromatic Lantern, which some people love it, some people hate it. I think it's okay if you're running 3+ colors. I would definitely put it in my 5-color hero deck. It's in there on the deck list, this specific version. So that's where you start the game. It's the Crystal the Altar. And then we have Adventurers In. When this land enters, you gain 2 life. It taps for colorless. It's an upgraded waste, but it's not called a waste, so I don't know if you want to put it in your true colorless deck. But you know, it's a cute card. I like it. I put it in my Final Fantasy decks just because I like Adventurers In. I just like it as a card. Hate it or love it, I'm running it. That was Final Fantasy 3. Now we have 4. Dwarven Casterguard. When it dies, create a colorless hero. I guess you could put it in your Reanimator decks to keep making heroes. Then we have Rosa. I like Rosa. At the beginning of combat, you could put a counter on target creature you control. It gains lifelink. She's an archer. She has reach. Human Noble Cleric. So you can put it in your Cleric deck. Just an all-around a good card. I'm glad Rosa got a card. You know what? I'm glad Edge... Yeah, I almost said Shadow, but Shadow's the ninja in 6. Edge is the ninja in 4. I'm glad Edge didn't get a card. Screw you, Edge. Then we have the Lunar Well, which can now be your commander. Legendary artifact vehicle, flying. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. As long as it attacked this turn, you may play that top card of your library. Crew for 1. Very easy crew cost. Just being able to play the top card. If you run this as your commander, it's kind of just like a mono blue storm deck. Because then you just go into your second main phase and you do all your stuff in your second main phase and then you move on. I would definitely love to run it in my Mechs deck or my technically Azorius vehicle deck. So I like it. It's not the most powerful effect playing it off in your second main phase, but I think it's still a pretty strong effect for what it does. It's so easy to crew and attack with it, so it's just a good card. I like that it got a card. And then we have Cecile, Dark Knight, Death Touch. Whenever it deals damage, you lose that much life. Then, if your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life, untap it, transform it. He transformed. For 1 black, mind you, he's a 2/3 with Death Touch, which are some pretty awesome stats. And then he flips into Cecile, Redeem Paladin, Lifelink, Protect. Whenever he attacks other attacking creatures gain indestructible. Again, a very powerful effect for like swinging out lifelink. You can put the white crystal in this deck too, and a black crystal. But yeah, it's kind of hard to get to half your life total in Commander, but it's very, very, very possible. I mean, eventually you're just gonna hit half life, and then you're gonna start gaining all this life back because other attacking creatures gain indestructible. But you know, it's so easy in white to give him indestructible, or you could do like Restoration Magic, which does give indestructible, but you know what I mean. Just him giving everybody else indestructible makes your team big. You can just swing in, gain all that life back with the white crystal. Good card. I want him in my Knights deck that I have. Guys, I have like 14 Commander decks and more on the way. But then we have Kane, Treacherous Dragoon, Tuna Black, 2/4, Legendary creature Human Knight. Jump. During your turn, Kane has flying. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, they gain control of Kane. If they do, you draw that many cards, create that many tap treasures, then lose that much life. I wouldn't exactly run him as a commander. You can get away with Cecile as a commander, but Kane as a commander, you're not going to have like a splicer effect because Kane could come at you. But then you can slap Assault Suit on him, which I think gives him +2/+2, so you get to draw 4 cards, make 4 tap treasures, and then he can't even attack you. So there you go. This alternate artwork for him, very awesome. I love this artwork. You could get it on a play mat, but I don't want it on a play mat. But out of all of these, like all of these that just have the numbers behind them, these are good. But him just having like all this landscape behind him, like, why does he get the special treatment? Don't get me wrong, Kane's my second favorite from 4. I'm not a big fan of 4, but I do like the cards of 4 better than I like them in game. Like Cecile is a very awesome card, and then we have just so many different versions of each card. Kind of unnecessary, but I'll get into that later. Then we have Golbez, Cloud and Darkness. Love this artwork. This artwork's so good. You're going to hear me say that so much, but I love this artwork. He's Sir Conrad the Grim. Sir Conrad the Grim's such a good card. I like it. Then we have Baron Rivalry, which is Deadly Dispute. Also another good card. Then we have Mistian Elder. This is in my wizard deck, but when this creature makes a wizard, I think these wizard tokens are just so strong, you can put this in the wizard deck and it kind of be a slam dunk. And then you can flicker it so you can keep making these wizards. So I think Mistian Elder's hiddenly good for a common and commander if you can flick it. You have Chocobo Kick. 1 in the green for a sorcery with kicker. Return a land you control to its owner's hand. So as you cast it, you may return it to your hand, and then you get the kick effect. Target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature an opponent controls. If the spell was kicked, the creature you control deals twice that much damage instead. And then we have Ridia's Return. This is probably my favorite moment from the game, but for 3 and 2 green sorcery, choose one. Creatures get +3/+3 until end of turn, or you can get 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard to your hand. As far as modal cards go, the +3/+3 is a significant boost when it comes to these type of add-on effects, but the ability to get 2 target permanent cards from your graveyard back to your hand, it's an okay card for 3 and 2 green. There just might be some better ones. And then we have Glot, King of Dwarves. He's red and a white, double strike. When Gyat or another dwarf you control enters, and whenever an equipment you control enters, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. Dwarf commander, equipment base. He has double strike on him. You get to run all the cute dwarves, and actually these guys are cute. I like these. You can put Castle Guard in there to make heroes. As far as the commander goes, I think it works fairly fun for a commander. So you get this kind of scram effect, but you're in red, so you can also just weld old equipment that you discard for like some other worthless equipment on your battlefield at the moment. So it's not the worst. I think he can be a fairly fun commander to build around, and he's just 2 colors at double strike. Slap some equipment on there. I think this is a good Voltron, and it's a dwarf tribal and equipment, so I think he's a fairly fun card. And then we have Golbez, which I think people say he's CDH level, I guess, but he's also really good. Another 2-drop, blue and a black, human wizard. I want him for my wizards deck. I'm going to say that every time. Whenever an artifact you control enters, surveil 1. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more artifacts, return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts, each opponent loses a life equal to that card's power. And he's a 1/4. He has a big booty for 2-drop. So, this effect is powerful. He comes down, you can play a bunch of artifacts, he does his thing. And then at the end step, you get to do this thing, get to return this creature back. And then if that creature has a bunch of power, which I'm sure you can play around, there's a lot of black cards and artifact cards that just have high power that you can just put straight back into your hand, and then you just get it in your hand. I love this effect. I think he's powerful. I don't think he's CDH level, but what do I know? I don't play it, so if you guys think he's CDH level, tell me in the comments below. Next we have Ridia, who is my favorite character from Final Fantasy IV. For a red and a green, you get a human shaman with landfall. Whenever a land you control enters the battlefield, you may discard a card. If you do, draw a card. And she's a 1/2. She has the ability Summon. For X, tap her, return target saga. So in this set, there's a bunch of summon cards that are all sagas. I love the summons, but when we get to one, I will talk about it. So, talking about Rydia, you return the saga with mana value X from your graveyard to the battlefield with a finality counter on it. It gains haste at the end of the turn, activate only as a sorcery. So when that summon leaves, it will be gone for good. But for X, how powerful is it? To be determined. I don't know how strong all the green-red summons are. I mean, you can use Terra as your summon commander, where you just run all the summons from the set in her because she has all 5 colors because of a cheap thing, but we'll talk about that when we get to her. But as far as Gruul summon, I don't know how many other non-summon sagas have that are good to put in this deck, so it's to be determined. I think she's great. I like her artwork. I like Rydia. That's it. And then Tella, he actually does something useful compared to his in-game version. For 3 blue and a red, you get a 3/3 human wizard. I want him for my wizard deck. You're gonna hear me say that a lot. When you cast a non-creature spell, you create a hero. So you just, any non-creature spell, you just get a hero out of it. But if 4 or more mana was spent to cast a spell, you get to draw 2 cards. So all your 4 non-creature, non-land cards suddenly just gain this added ability. After 4 or more mana, that you get to draw 2 cards alongside them. Very awesome. And then, if 8 or more mana was spent to cast a spell, sacrifice Tella, and it deals that much damage to each opponent. So whatever amount of mana you drop into that spell, you get to deal that much to each opponent. I think he's a fun commander because you can just put in X spells and just dump a buttload of mana into the X spell. Again, he actually does something useful. This artwork is, I keep saying it, I sound like a broken record, but I really do like these 2 artworks. It's so cool. It's so cool. This one goes hard. This one goes hard. More about it. One of my least favorite moments, as said. Awesome. Okay, we're moving on. I think that's it. We have Cecile Harvey as Timba the Reaver. I don't really like this partner commander. She's not my favorite. I don't like her. Colorless. Copy tokens. Artifact. Elixir. For 1 colorless, this artifact enters tap 5. Tap it. Exile this artifact. Shuffle all non-land cards from your graveyard into your library. You gain life equal to the amount of cards shuffled this way. It's overpriced for shuffle, graveyard shuffle effects into your library effects. Kind of overpriced, but I do like the artwork's cute on it. And yeah, that's it. It's a okay card. I do kind of like it. And I would like to try to run it in a deck if I got it. I think I do have one, but whatever. And we have Giant Babel, 4 mana, which is Traxos. Again, the artwork's good. I like Traxos. He's a very fun card. He uses effect. There's a what he do. You could put him in a Gobez deck. And it's on flavor, Giant Babel, Gobez reactivated. Now we are to Final Fantasy V, which also doesn't have a lot of cards in it, but I digress. Starting off very strong with Galileo Cat. 2 to white, Flying Vigilance for 1/3. As long as you control 2 or more artifacts, this creature gets +2. Restoration Magic, 1 and a white. I love this card. Artwork is very cute. I love these effects. Look at all these effects. Pay 0. This bottom floor, 1 mana, hexproof and indestructible. Great effect. Pay a little bit more mana, you get to gain 3 life for your, your cleric deck. And then if you save up 3 and 2 white, permanents you control get hexproof and indestructible, and you gain 6 life. So you can save this mana up for a big board, or keep the 1 mana up to protect the best thing on your board. Travel the overworld. This is a great card draw if you have a bunch of towns in your deck. I might put it in my Kefka deck because I run a bunch of the towns in there. I could put the starting town in there, and this will make this card even better. But 7 mana, costs 1 less for each cardy card, but you get to draw 4. Essentially, if you have 5 towns, 2 blue, draw 4, amazing payout. Next, we have Evil Reawakened, 4, 1 black for sorcery. Put target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. with 2 additional counters on it. Now for Commander, we have Reanimate, Life and Death, which is a Golgari card, and a slew of other Reanimator cards. So this one being this expensive, it's kind of a letdown, but the artwork do go hard because it does have X-Death on it. I definitely didn't have to sit there and remember whose name that was. Next we have Tonberry, which is very good with flavor because they take forever to get to you, but once they get to you, it's over. So First Strike and Death Touch, attacking 2/1. Look, not every card can be a flavor win, but this card, I think, definitely works. And then we have Battle at the Big Bridge. Again, wonderful artwork, with it being Fatal Push. Next we have Corsair, 1-drop, red, flash. When it enters, target creature you attach it, it gets a +1, then it gains First Strike, equip for 1. Not bad for an equipment, except after it does all of this, it's just a +1. But it's a good catch you off guard for your equipment decks. Then we have Gilgamesh, Master at Arms, very good effect. 4, 2 red for a 6/6 legendary creature human samurai. When he enters or attacks, look at the top 6. Then you put any number of equipment cards from among them on the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Whenever you put one or more equipment onto the battlefield this way, you may attach one of them to a samurai you control, not including Gilgamesh. So mono red samurais, here you go. Or you could just throw them in your samurai tribal deck. I guess Ishin. A lot of people make samurai tribal out of Ishin, and he is an attack effect, so you get to do this twice and equip 2 of your best equipment to your samurai. Next we have Sandworm, 4 and a red, 5/4 haste. When it enters, destroy target land. Its controller may search the library for basic, put it onto the battlefield tapped. Not bad for like a Field of Ruin effect, or not Field of Ruin, Demolition Field effect, because it comes in, you get this 5/4 beater with haste, and then you get to blow up any land, including basics, but it basically makes them tap the land for mana. So it's not bad. You can immediately go to combat and have that mana drain. Then we have Self-Destruct, from when Gilgamesh blew himself up to kill the one thing, even though he didn't really need to, but whatever. Target creature you control deals X damage to any other target and X damage to itself, where X is its power. There's some crazy stuff. I could see this putting this in a Jury deck. So you go Self-Destruct, Jury kills someone, then he kills himself, and then he gets to deal that damage again, and other stuff. It's a Fling for 1 and a red at instant speed, because Fling, you're going to sacrifice it anyway, so you might as well Self-Destruct it. And the off chance that you can give it indestructible. Next, we have a variant art of Gilgamesh looking very snazzy and stylish based on original artwork. And we have Gilgamesh here, who is Godo Bandit Warlord. Godo is infamous for the Helm of the Host combo. You search for Helm of the Host, you put it on the battlefield, put it on Go-Go, and then you just get the free combats. I'm so glad a lot of these variant arts actually work with the original. Like we see Minwu, they made him a cleric that works with the cleric, and now we have Gilgamesh, who is a bandit warlord. Although he's not a samurai, he does a similar effect to Gilgamesh. I think they work very fine. Then we have Dawn, Warrior's Legacy, which is Nizzet's Mastery, very powerful, scary card. Then we have Bartz and Boko, birds. That's all he is. 3 and 2 green, affinity for birds, so he costs 1 less for each bird. When he enters, each other bird you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So it's 2 and a green for essentially creature removal. Not bad in a bird deck, and you get a body with it, and it is a bird in of itself. Next we have Golow's Final Act, one of the best moments in Final Fantasy V, for 1 and a green instant. Until end of turn, target creature gets +1 and gains. When this creature dies, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to its power up to 1 target creature. It's not that bad. But of course the creature does have to die, but if you're sending it into like a Death Toucher or like a big creature, then you get to super buff another creature, especially if that creature has a bunch of power. Or you could sacrifice it in a Golgari deck. There are like Abzan decks out there that do like +1/+1 counters, so this card might be a good fit for that deck. Next, we're moving on to our multicolor. We have X-Death Void Warlock, 1 black and a green. When he enters, you gain 3 life. At the beginning of your end step, if there are 6 or more permanent cards in your graveyard, transform him. He flips into Neo X-Death Dimensions End, the final boss of the game. Trample. Its powers are equal to the number of permanent cards in your graveyard. Very strong, especially with Trample on him without needing any like Garruk's Uprising or anything else that would give trample, and he's just equal to the number of permanents, so lands and creatures in your graveyard. Gogori, I think he's a very powerful. I don't know why he gains you life. I wish he like surveilled or something. Like all the other bosses that we've seen so far have some type of like surveil or mill or something like that. I guess Paladimacia didn't, but Garland has it, and Golbez had it, and Xdef just gained you life, and you need stuff in the graveyard for him, but it works. And then we have the Sid from that game, who wrecked with emotional grief, and then we have his grandson, I forgot his name. Then we have through the ages of Bartz, who is Winota, a game changer and commander. I use this version in my Joda deck, the Warrior Light Heroes deck, because this is just I don't run birds in it. There's no like legendary bird heroes from, or there's no main protagonist bird heroes from any of the games, so running this birds really doesn't fit the deck. I still want it to be somewhat work. And then we have Genji Glove, also another powerful artifact. 5 mana for artifact equipment. Equipped creature has double strike. Whenever equipped creature attacks, if it's the first combat phase of the turn, untap it. After this phase, there's an additional combat phase, and you can equip it for 3. I mean, giving a creature double strike is already powerful, and then you get 2 combats. Very nice. Then we have Magic Pot, which is a goblin. Ooh. 3 mana for an artifact creature goblin construct. 1/4. When it dies, you create a treasure. 2 tap it, exile target card from a graveyard. It's a common. I'm not sure what else you expect. I do like it dies and it gives you treasure. Similar in the game. If you give a Magic Pot an elixir in any of the games, not just 5. 5's the first one to do it, but if you give them elixir, they give you a big reward. I remember it being very good in this one because you get a bunch of class points, essentially, for all the characters' classes. So, yeah, if you want to learn more, then go watch my original video, my Final Fantasy V video. I talk more about it there, I think. But go watch it anyways. Then we have Gone, Town of Ruin. Nice. Next, we have Final Fantasy VI. Now, this one's going to be a big one, along with the next one, because they love 7, but mainly because of the commander decks. So we have Battle Menu. 1 and a white, instant. You can attack, ability, magic. So create a 2/2/9 with vigilance. Target creature gets +0/+4. Destroy target creature with power 4 or greater, or you gain 4 life. I love this card. Very versatile. Although each mode isn't too fantastic, I think they do just a bit enough to put it in there. I mean, just being able to blow up a creature for 2 mana or make a body at instant speed is fairly good, or buff your creature to survive something, and then gain life if you absolutely need it. Train noise. Anyways, we have Magitech Armor, 3 and a white. When it enters, create a hero. Crew 1, 4/4, pretty nothing. I mean, you can abuse flicking artifacts to keep creating a hero over and over. Next, we have Moogle's Valor, 3 and 2 white instant. For each creature you control, create a Moogle with lifelink. Then creatures you control gain indestructible. I like Moogle's Valor. I think it's a very good card in a token deck. If you want to make a bunch of tokens, this lets you create a whole lot more tokens, especially these cute Moogles. And then we have the cool artwork. We have Coin of Fate. Love this card. Love the moments in the game that use it. 1 and a white. When this artifact enters, surveil 1. 3 and a white. Exile 2 creature cards from your graveyard. Sacrifice this artifact. An opponent chooses 1. You put that card on the bottom of your library and then return the other to the battlefield tapped. Then you become the Monarch. It just does so much. I love it. And then you just get to pick the 2 biggest creatures, and then it stops graveyard hate from blowing up your best creature, and you get the other creature. I mean, literally, you can ultimatum your opponents. That's always the best thing. Even though they get the option, you're picking your 2 best creatures, and you can just make them pick your poison. Next, we have Cyan, Vengeful Samurai, 6 and a white for a 3/3. It costs 1 less for each creature card in your graveyard. This is also in the commander, so this is pretty easy to get, but he has double strike. And then, whenever 1 or more creatures leave your graveyard for whatever reason, not only from the battlefield, but to your hand, to the library, exiled, you put a counter on Cyan. Very powerful, especially with the double strike, and he can essentially cost 1 white for a 3/3 double strike. That's a pretty good payout. Next, we have General Leo Castros, 4 and a white. When it enters, return up to target creature card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then you put a counter on General Leo for each creature you control. Again, just another powerful effect. He can get very, very big, and sometimes, at most, at least you're going to get 2 +1/+1 counters on him. But again, you can reanimate him to keep getting creatures back from your graveyard, that's what this deck is about. You can get him back with Terra, because Terra says power 2 or less, and then he just comes back in, he gets buffed, and he also brings another creature with him. Very strong. I like him. Angel Ruin, which is just a reprint, but it's from the Kefka Tower final boss. Very nice. Palace Jailer, which is from Figaro, the Edgar's and Saban's castle, essentially. But it's another reprint. Then we have a Sun Titan reprint, Rex Soul. Then we have Tragic Arrogance, which shows Kefka's death and the final boss. And now we're moving on to blue. Next we have Edgar, King of Figaro. 4 and 2 blue, 4/5, legendary creature, human artificer, noble. When he enters, draw a card for each artifact you control. Powerful effect, and in blue, which is very easy to flick cards, you can draw a bunch of cards. But not only does he do that, the first time you flip one or more coins each turn, those coins come up heads and you win those flips. So there's a bunch of flip coins, especially. I don't know how much is in blue. I know there's a couple artifacts. I guess if you want the gold saucer land from what we'll see later, but if you really want to win those treasures, that works with him since it is colorless. As a commander, I think he could be pretty powerful, but it's kind of just another mono blue artifact deck, kind of like Urza, so whatever. Then we have Go-Go, Master of Mimicry, 2 in the blue, 2/4. This is the one not in the Commander Precon. Edgar and Go-Go are not in the Commander Precon. So, but he has the activated ability of XX, tap, copy target activated or trigger ability you control X times. You may choose new targets for the copies. This ability can't be copied and X can't be 0. Very strong, especially, well, it's a mythic. I would hope a mythic is strong. But I can't name all the stuff you could do off the top of my head, but I feel like that very strong. Activated or triggered. That's about everything in the game. Moving on, we have Realm Sketching, 2 and 2 blue. Create a token that's a copy of target artifact, creature, or land. This is for like your Bruticlad decks, so just want to make a token of something, and then all your tokens become a copy of that token. It's pretty good just all around, just making a copy of any artifact, any creature, or any land. Especially the land part with how powerful lands are. Very good card. Retrieve the Esper, 3 in a blue. Create a 3/3 blue artifact. Then if the spell was cast from the graveyard, put 2 counters on it. And pretty okay. It has flashback. It triggers all the stuff that needs 4 or more mana spent on the spell to cast it. Then we have Sullen Uniform. Choose target creature you control and target equipment. Gain control of the equipment until end of turn. Attach it to the chosen creature. When you lose control of the equipment this turn, if it's attached to a creature you control, unattach it. So you just get to steal someone else's equipment or take your own equipment and put it on there for the turn, but it does fall off at the end of turn. I do love the alternate artwork over here. So next we have Ultros, Obnoxious Octopus, 1 in the blue, 2/1. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 4 mana was spent to cast it, tap target creature an opponent controls and put a stun counter on it. When you cast a non-creature spell, if at least 8 mana was spent to cast it, put 8 counters on Ultros. I can see him being a very fun Voltron. There's a lot of unblockability in blue and a lot of proliferate. So you could tap a bunch of creatures. You know, not a bunch of creatures since you need to cast 4 or more, but you can tap those creatures, put the stun counters, and then you can proliferate the stun counters. So there's that. Also, he's very cheap to put down. Then we have the variant art of Go-Go, who, mind you, Go-Go was in 5 first. He gives you the Mimic job in 5, and then he shows up in 6 as an optional character you can grab. And then we have all the alternate artworks. And then we have Tara Bradford, which is Urza. Love the art, hate the card. I don't like Urza. Next, we have the Phantom Train. That's what I was talking about. 3 in the black, 4/4 trample for a vehicle. Sacrifice another artifact or creature. You just get to do that. You get to put a counter on them, and then it becomes a creature. Sack outlet is especially for artifacts and creatures. Very, very good. It's already a big creature, and then you just get to make it bigger with trample. So great blocker, great attacker. Very good, okay. Then we have Poison the Waters. 1 in the black for a sorcery that says, choose 1. All creatures get -1/-1, so you can kill all the weak little tokens. Or, target player reveals their hand, you choose an artifact or card, that player discards it. I like the first mode a lot, but you can also do a lot of hand hate if someone is ahead and you want to get the best thing out of their hand. We have Esper's to Magicite, 3 in the black for an instant. This is in the Commander Precon. Exile each opponent's graveyard. Massive graveyard hate. When you do, choose up to 1 target creature card, exile this way, create a token that's a copy of that card, except it's an artifact, and loses all other card types. I love this card, especially with the graveyard hate on it, and it only hits your opponent, so let's just move on. The Falcon Airship is in the Commander Precon. You can also make it a commander now. It's 2 in the black for a 4/3 vehicle. Flying. Whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice it. And then you get to return any creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield, not tapped or anything. And then, for 4 in the black, you can return it from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. It comes back. It gets any creature back. It's very fun to... you can get a lot of leave the graveyard triggers, death triggers. It's an artifact and a creature when it dies. You can do all sorts of shenanigans with that. Crew it for 2. Then we have Interceptor, Shadow's Hound, Shadow's Doggy. 2 in the black, 4/3 menace. Assassins you control have menace. He can be your commander apparently, and you can run a mono black assassins deck. Here you go. Whenever you attack with 1 or more legendary creatures, you may pay 2 black. If you do, return this card from your graveyard to the battlefield, tapped and attacking. 4/3 menace. It can be very scary. He's at least going to take something with him on the way out, hopefully. Oh, maybe. You never know. The board states can change, but again, you get the creature leaving the graveyard trigger, so that's also very cool. All of these are have been in the Precon so far. So we have Rejoin the Fight, 5 in the black sorcery, mill 3 cards, then starting with the next opponent in the turn order. Each opponent chooses a creature card in your graveyard that hasn't been chosen. Return each card chosen this way to the battlefield under your control. Essentially, you can get 2 to 3 creatures from your graveyard. You're not going to get the best things, but if you kind of sculpt your graveyard, you can get the best things. Then we have Shadow, Mysterious Assassin, also in the Precon. 2 in the black, 3/3, Death Touch. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may sacrifice another non-land permanent. If you do, draw 2 cards and each opponent loses life equal to the mana value of the sacrifice permanent. I love this card. You can like throw Cyan at someone because it just says non-land permanent, but you can do a lot of damage. You get to draw cards off of it. You get to trigger your death triggers, and very good. Very fun, very flavorful. Even though tons of other classes before Shadow has also have thrown. But you can't just put throw on all of them. And then lastly, we have Siegfried, Framed Swordsman. 3 in the black, 2/2 menace. When he enters, mill 3 cards, then put X +1/+1 counters on Siegfried. Or X is twice the number of creature cards in your graveyard. This card can get very, very strong out of nowhere. I mean, you mill 6 cards. He's a 14/14 menace. And then the later on the game goes, as long as no one blows up your graveyard, the stronger he gets. And we have all the variants. We have Archfiend of Depravity, 3 and 2 black. It's just another reprint in the Precon. Keep moving. Morbid Opportunist, another reprint in the Precon. Night's Whisper Precon. And then Reanimate's also in there. Oh, look at this artwork. Beautiful artwork. And we have Rise of the Dark Realms, and the Precon, reprint. This artwork's amazing. This is at the final when you have your confrontation with Kefka in the end. I don't know what this card is about. We have Kefka's Tower, which is Bola Citadel. Beautiful artwork. Bola Citadel, very strong card. Makes sense to be Kefka's Tower. Moving on. Hilgagus, which is from Zozo. There's just giants in the town. 4 and 2 red, 5/4, trample, haste. Good keywords. Has trample, has haste. You can play him, comes down, does his thing immediately. He has mountain cycling. Then we have Laughing Mad, one of the best artworks, I think, in this set. It's just Kefka going absolutely insane. Love it. 2 in a red for an instant. As an additional cost of sacrifices, discard a card, draw 2, then it has flashbacks for 3 in a red. Something that isn't very strong is Light of Judgment, 4 in a red, instant. It deals 6 damage to target creature, destroy up to 1 equipment attached to that creature. Honestly, kind of a flavor fail. In this scene, he's blowing up towns, so it should have something like destroy target land, because we have red cards that already blow up a land, but yeah, I guess focus fire on a creature. I mean, I guess the people in the town do die, so there's that, and then it just blows up equipment. I get it. It's kind of more for, I think, for standard, since this is a sort of equipment heavy. There's a lot of equipment synergy in this set, so I get it. It's kind of to counter that in a way. But then we have my favorite moment from Final Fantasy VI. We have Opera Love Song, 1 in a red, instant, exile the top 2, you may play those. 1 or 2 other creatures get +2 until end of turn. Not the strongest effect, but it's enough for me. Then we have Summon, our first summon. I love the summons in the set because they're all the summon creatures from, obviously they're from the games where you summon the big powerful creatures and then they go away. So making them sagas was a great idea because they show up, they do their thing, they can attack, a block, and then they go away. We have Esperama. This creature deals damage equal to the number of non-creature, non-lands, so instants and sorceries, artifacts, you get the whole idea, in your graveyard to target creature an opponent controls. He just comes down, blows up something, very fitting end game. And then wizards you control get +1. Obviously, he's in my wizard deck. Then we have arguably the most flavor win card in the set. 1 in a red, sorcery. Deals 3 damage to target creature. If that creature would die this turn, exile it instead. That's very strong. Most things are probably around 2 or 3 toughness. Of course, they can get higher, but I'm saying most things are 2 or 3 toughness, so this can kill a lot of things. But then it can also exile target artifact. For 1 in a red, this is a pretty great removal spell for red. I love it. I love the flavor. It kills. It's not enough to kill the Phantom Train, but it's enough to exile. You can suplex the Phantom Train. I love it. Then we have Gao. Feral Youth, 1 in a red, legendary creature, human, berserker, 2/2. Whenever he attacks, put a counter on him. At the beginning of each instep, if a card left your graveyard this turn, Gao deals damage equal to its power to each opponent. That can be a very easy trigger, and I think in the right circumstances, he can really rain down some damage very swiftly. Then we have Go-Go Mysterious Mind, which is the one in the precon. Same thing with Gal and Laughing Mad. But we have Go-Go Mysterious Mind. 3 in a red. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you may have Go-Go become a copy of another target creature you control until end of turn, except its name is Go-Go Mysterious Mind. If you do, Go-Go and that creature each get +2 and gain haste and must attack this turn if able. Very strong. I love Go-Go. There's so many crazy things you can copy with him that are just insane. You can copy legendary creatures because he becomes Go-Go, not that legendary creature. So you can copy everybody in this deck, and they get +2, and they get haste, but they do have to attack it anyways. Oh no, you're copying something that you're going to attack, and it's a May trigger, so you don't have to do it. I love Go-Go. He could also make a fairly fun mono red commander. Next, we have Saban, Master Monk, 4 in a red, 4/3, double strike, human noble monk, blitz. Obviously, he's going to have blitz. His ability is literally called blitz, but 2 and 2 red, discard a card, and you can cast them for the blitz cost. They gain haste. When they die, draw a card, sacrifice it at the beginning of the next instep. You may cast this card from your graveyard using its blitz cost. Again, 4/3, double strike. Very good. And then you get to draw a card, so he replaces himself. He replaces, the discard card, no matter if he dies, unless he gets exiled. But you can just keep casting him from the graveyard, so you can fill up your graveyard with the discard. You get to fill up your hand with the draw. You get to trigger, leave your graveyard effects and death effects. Very strong. I like Saban. I say very strong. I'm not the best judgment for that because I don't play very strong, but let's move on. We have Snort, 3 in a red. Each player may discard their hand, then draw 5 cards. Then Snort deals 5 damage to each opponent who discarded their hand this way. I love wheel effects, and it does give your opponents the decision if they want to wheel or not, but it does kind of punish them. And then you can flashback it. Shrago and Realm, 2 in a red, legendary creature, human wizard, sketch and lore. Instead of making 2 separate cards, they just combine them. This artwork's very dopey, but it's cute. Anyways, for 2 in a red, you can tap them. Target our opponent exiles from the top of their library until they exile an instant, sorcery, or creature. You may cast that card without paying its mana cost. If you cast a creature this way, it gains haste, and at the beginning of the instep, sacrifice this creature. Activate this only as a sorcery. That can be a hit or miss, but it could be fairly strong because you just get to cast it for free. So you're not really losing much. Unless you hit something that's 2 or less, I guess. But even then, you're taking that from your opponent, so they don't get to use it. So I like them. Next, we have Summon Esper Belgarmanda. I'm sure I butchered that, but 3 in a red, 3/3s for summon. Exile an instant or sorcery card from your graveyard. Oh, I thought it said from your graveyard. It says from each graveyard. And then for each of the lore, after you get to add fire for each lore counter, then you may cast an instant or sorcery exiled with him. And the mana of any type can be spent to cast it. So you can use the red you get from him to cast those spells. I didn't realize he said from each graveyard. Very strong, and he has flying and haste, and you can put him in your Drake Tribal. You have Umaru, Raging Yeti, which is very fun to copy with Go-Go. 5 in a red, 6/6, Trample. At the beginning of combat on your turn, choose one at random. Other creatures you control get +3, +0, and gain Trample during the turn. Or you discard your hand and draw 4 cards, so you can fill up your graveyard. And if you have no cards, you get 4 cards. So there you go. Umaru, and then lastly, Umaru deals 5 damage to any target, slap some Death Touch or Lifelink on him, and go crazy. I like Umaru, not in the game, but I do like him as a card. These into precon, precon. You can tell what's in the precon by this commander deck. There you go. I don't have to say it anymore. Just look and see if it's in the precon, but there you go. Then we have all the different variants. Anger, reprint into Precon. Precon, it's another reprint. I do like this part in the story. Then we have Combustible Gearhawk, which is a thing you have to sneak by, or you can fight it. I didn't try to fight it because I thought it would kill me. Then we have this. I don't remember what he's from, but Flair to Hatebound. Always wanted to put him in the deck. I'm glad to see he's reprinted. Ruin Grinder, which is at the end of the thing after Cecile and Locke go to save. Is it? No. They're going to go grab Magicite from the Empire, and you have to fight this thing as a final boss. And then we have Kefka Through the Ages as Perforos, God of the Forge. Not sure if Perforo fits him, but the artwork is nice, so it gets a pass. We have another token for Chocobos. Cactar. Trample. At the beginning of your end step, if this creature enters the battlefield this turn, return it to your owner's hand. Very good flavor. Esper Origins. Surveil 2, gain 2. If it was cast from the graveyard, exile it, then put it on the battlefield transformed. So you have to flashback to have it transform as Terra's dad. Reveal the top card of the library. If it's a permanent card, put it into your hand. Then next, you get to add 2 mana your next turn. And then after that, other creatures you control get +2/+2 and gain trample. That's a very strong effect. Very nice. Then we have very cool versions. I like these. And then I love this Through the Ages. Then here's my commander that I keep talking about. It's Kefka Court Mage. 2 blue, black, red. For a human wizard, 4/5. When he enters or attacks, each opponent discards a card. Then you draw a card for each type among cards discarded this way. You can draw a bunch of cards, especially with attack and ways to give him haste. Then for 8 mana, each opponent sacrifices a permanent of their choice. You flip them. Whenever an opponent loses life during your turn, you draw that card. He becomes Kefka, Ruler of Ruin, 5/7 flying. He's a very fun. I just made him out of wizards with inspiration from a commander game I saw online. But this is my inspiration because all those wizards, you know, every time you cast a non-creature, you deal 1 to each opponent. You get to draw those cards for each opponent that you deal damage. So the deck can get pretty crazy if you can find the 8 mana to flip them. But the front side is also fairly strong too. Then we have Lock Clo, Death Touch, Lifelink. He does rogue things. Deal damage to a player, draw a card, discard. Terra, the Pinnacle Summon Commander, because not at the front side. On the front, she looks like a Gruul Commander, but when she enters, you mill 5 cards, put up to 1 enchantment milled this way into your hand. She costs 1 red and a green, and she's a 4/2 to put down for a human wizard warrior. 4 green, red, tap her, exile, then return her back transformed. Her first 3 modes are create a token that's a copy of target non-legendary enchantment you control. It gains haste. If it's a saga, put up to 3 lore counters on it, and then you can activate that effect immediately. Then you sacrifice it at the beginning of your next end step. So yeah, here's why she is 5 colors, because her final chapter is you add 2 white, 2 blue, 2 swamp, 2 red, 2 green, then you flip her back into Terra. She doesn't enter, she just flips back, and then I guess you can use all that mana to retransform her. So you can kind of just keep transforming her. Love the artwork, love the artwork, love the artwork. You get this Cid, the most evil Cid, technically, out of all. I guess he's not that evil, but he kind of does start out a bit evil in the beginning. You have Celeste, which is in the thing. Love Celeste, love Terra. She's in the precon, Celeste says whenever she enters, discard any number, then draw that many +1. So you go up a card regardless, or you don't go up a card because you have to play her, so you replace her, but you get the same amount of cards. And then whenever one or more other creatures you control enter, if one or more enter from a graveyard or was cast from a graveyard, put a counter on each creature you control. So there's some combo shenanigans you can do with her, crazy, whatever. We have Terra, Herald of Hope, the face of the commander deck. At the beginning of a combat on your turn, mill 2 cards, Terra gains flying. She's Mardu, red, white, black, for a 3/3 human wizard warrior again. When she deals combat damage to a player, you may pay 2. When you do, return target creature card with power 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. She's just a strong commander all around. She comes down, immediately does her thing, and then next turn, or if you give her haste, you can get a creature back for 2 mana. Very nice. Then we have Bannon, the Returner's Leader, red and white. Once during each of your turns, you may cast a creature card from among the cards in your graveyard that were put there from anywhere other than the battlefield this turn. So, if you mill him with Terra, or if you do his effect, whenever you attack, or not even, you don't even have to attack with him, you just have to attack. But if you attack, you may pay 1, discard a card. If you do, draw a card, and then you can cast a creature from there, or use Terra's abilities. Hurry this up! Edgar, Master Mechanist. Once during each of your turns, you may cast an artifact from your graveyard. If it's cast this way, it enters tapped in. Whenever he attacks, he gets +X, where X is the greatest amount of artifacts you control. 2/4, 2 in a red and a white to put him down. Not very strong in the commander deck, but it feels like a fun commander by himself. Then we have Kefka, Dancing Mad. 5, black-red. During your turn, Kefka has Indestructible. 6/6. At the beginning of your end step, exile a card at random from each opponent's graveyard. You may cast any number of spells among them exiled this way without paying the mana cost. Then each player who owns a spell you cast this way loses life equal to its mana value. Again, I just love he comes down, he does his thing immediately. You don't have to wait till like an upkeep or anything, and he can hit some pretty big spell, just any spell. So very fun. Probably not as a commander because 7 mana is a lot to commit to commander, but I guess you're in Rakdos, you can always just reanimate them, so whatever. Lock, Treasure Hunter. He can't be blocked by creatures with greater power. When he attacks, each player mills. If a land card was milled this way, create a treasure. Turn to turn, you may cast a spell from among those cards. Very awesome for a Rakdos Seal deck. 1 black and red. Then we have Mog, Moogle Warrior, 1 in red, Lifelink. At the beginning of your end step, each player may discard a card. For each player who discards a card this way, draws a card. If a creature card was discarded this way, you create a 1/2 Moogle with Lifelink. Then, if a non-creature card was discarded this way, put a counter on each Moogle. Next, we have Setzer. When he enters, you create the Blackjack, a legendary 3/3 colorless vehicle artifact token with Crew 2. Whenever a vehicle you control deals combat damage to a player, flip a coin. Whenever you win a flip, create 2 tap treasure tokens. Gambling deck, fits his character. You get the Blackjack. He's a vehicle commander. Doesn't really work here. He works in Rakdos vehicles. I like Setzer. I think he's very good. All these cards are great. Mog, it's kind of whatever. I wish it was they had a discard, but it's whatever. Then we have all the different versions. I love these versions. Then we have Bedevil, Black, Red, it's just a reprint. Crackling Doom, another reprint. I don't remember this moment in the game, but we'll keep moving. Legion to Ashes, cool, reprint. I'm not going to say too much about the reprints. Love this artwork. I hate this tower. Warring Triad, very nice card. This card is awesome. And it's in the precon. Flying Trample Haste for a 3-drop, 5/5. Colorless, it's all colorless, but as long as there are fewer than 8 cards in your graveyard, then it isn't a creature. So if you want it to be a creature, you've got to put a bunch of cards in your graveyard. But 3-drop, 5/5, Flying Trample Haste, pretty good keywords. And then if you want to, since it has haste, if it's a creature, you can tap mill a card. Target player adds 1 mana of any color. I don't know why it says that, but you can help someone out, I guess, if you really want to give them something. Then we have Arcane Signet, reprint, Egg, Commander Spear, reprint, Key to the City for Celeste's opera scene, or at least the intro to it. It's Key to the City, Meteor Golem. I love the design of these robots. Hated it in Kefka's final dungeon. Milliken, whatever, Princess Tiara. I thought there would be more equipment, but it's kind of, there already is a crap ton of equipment in this set, so it makes sense not including a bunch of relics. We have Mind Stone, Sowing, which is a magicite very cool. Solum Simulacrum, reprint, Talisman, reprint. Funny, look at his face. Reprint. Jador, which is one of the adventure towns. 2 blue to cast the adventure side. Target opponent mills half their library. Bruvac decks love it, and you can slap it in a lot of blue decks and have it work. I mean, I put it in my Kefka deck, but that's just because I have a lot of towns in there. Then we have Victor, the Imperial Capital. We have this cool version of Jador, Ashen Barrens, Vessel Mines, and then we have all the reprinted lands. Not much to say. They're all referenced to Final Fantasy VI places, so I love that about it. No, not all of them, but most of them are Final Fantasy. Well, yeah, there's a whole lot of Final Fantasy VI lands. There's also in the precon other lands that aren't from Final Fantasy VI, but that's perfectly fine with me. Love this precon. I think this precon's very powerful. If you're going to make some changes, make some flavor changes instead of changing it out. I don't want to optimize this deck at all. I just want to leave it as is. Holy moly, this video is going to be crazy. Do I need to go over Final Fantasy VII? Do I really need to? Fine, we'll do it. I'm going to skip reading the cards now, so if you were listening, now you have to watch it. Arius Garrett. No, this Arius isn't in the commander deck, but I like her pretty good. We have an Aerith Rescue Mission, 3 and a white sorcery. It's kind of a nothing card, but I love the flavor of it and I love the artwork. Then we have one of our first Clouds at Mythic. He's just really good with equipment, and then he works really well with his sword, so that's fairly nice. Then we have Summon Chocomog, one of the first summons. Actually, it is, well, you can skip it too, but it is the first summon materia that you get in the game. It's an okay effect for a common, but then we have a great effect, which is Summon Knights of the Round, the strongest summon in the game, to my knowledge. You get to literally create a bunch of knights, and then all those knights get indestructible if you can get through the chapters. This is a very good card. Then we have Weapons Vendor, which lets you attach big equipment to creatures for free. Kind of overcosted for 4 mana, but I do like it replaces itself when you enter, because you can flick it and then you can keep doing its effect during combat. Zack Fair, which is in the precon, he's okay. Sid in the precon, love this. I love that he got his own card. I was worried about seeing him because he actually has one of those. You can have any number in your deck. He has a version of that, and that's the one I saw. I'm like, oh, I sure hope they give Sid, since he's a playable character in Final Fantasy VII, I sure hope they give him his own card, and they did. I was very happy to see that. Cloud's Limit Break, I love this. Elena, these are all in the precon. Whenever you cast a historic spell, put a counter. She's kind of okay. And then we have Heidegger, Shinra Executive. At the beginning of combat on your turn, target creature gets +X, where X is the number of soldiers you control. Slam dunk and soldier decks, and then at your end step, you create a number of soldiers equal to the amount of opponents who have more creatures than you. There you go. You have Heli Trooper, which is another equipment cost, but equipment abilities that activate that target this creature cost 2 less to cast. Since the commander deck is a equipment, technically a Voltron deck, but not, doesn't have to be Voltron, but it can be Voltron. Flying, whenever this creature attacks another target creature gains flying. It's okay for 1 and a white. I do like it costs less to throw equipment on them. Then we have the Soldier Military Program. At the beginning of combat, if you control a commander, you may choose both instead. So a strictly commander precon card. Create a 1/1 soldier. Obviously, you're supposed to have Cloud out, and then you can put a counter on him, because you can put a counter on to each 2 soldiers. Ultimate Magic Holy, great card all around. You can save it for later. Love this card. This card is awesome. We have all the different versions of Secret Rendezvous. I love these. They're all great. You get to T for 1, but they're awesome. They're awesome. We have a Steer Command, reprint, Bastion Protector, reprint, Bronze Guardian, reprint, Clever Concealment. There you go. Cloud and Address. What a trap. 2 and a white, Convoke, which you can also tap white creatures to help cast this spell. Any number of target non-land permanents you control phase out. Very great card to protect your board, and it can just come out of nowhere, especially if you're tapped out. Dispatch, reprint, Piercing Paladin, reprint, Secret Rendezvous. Here's the one that comes in the deck. You get Tifa. Then we have Unfinished Business, precon. Return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then return up 2 target aura and or equipment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield attached to that creature. Very awesome. Very great to bounce back from a board wipe. Then we have a Vanquish the Horde, which is one of the weapons in the game. I love this artwork's amazing. This is one of my favorite through the ages artwork. Definitely not saying that because I have the PlayStation 4 theme that has this artwork on there. Eject, flavor, 3 in the blues, can't be countered, bounce something back to the hand, draw a card, replaces itself. It's an okay card. I do like it can't be countered. Ether, I run this in my Wizards deck, but it's 3 in the blue, tap it, exile it, add a blue. When you cast your next instant or sorcery, copy it. Then we have Scorpion Sentinel, it's a common. Valkyrie Aerial Unit, 5 in the blue for a artifact creature. It has affinity for artifacts, which, mind you, by the way, the 7 also uses cards from the remake, because there's some cards in the remake that will show up later that I didn't recognize because it's from the remake. But anyways, so essentially this card is probably going to cost 2 blue for a flying 5/4 in enters and a surveils 2. I guess if you're an artifact card, it's very good. So then we have Fight On, which is just recover without the draw card, return up to 2 target creature cards from a graveyard, but it is at instant speed. So you have Reno Rude, 1 in a red. Minutes, when it deals combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library, then you may sacrifice another creature. And then if you do, you may play it and you have to spend mana for it. It's okay effect, good. I guess way to sacrifice something and steal a card. Then we have Sephiroth, one of the best. I want to make this as a commander so bad. I want to crack him from a pack so bad. But enters attacks, you may sacrifice another creature. If you do, draw a card. Whenever another creature dies, target opponent loses 1 life, you gain 1. If it's the 4th time it has resolved, then transform him. Very easy to flip him. When you flip him, he becomes the final boss, Sephiroth, 1 Winged Angel. Yes, you have to play the song every time you flip him. Angel, Nightmare, Avatar, 5/5 flying. Supernova. As this creature transforms into Sephiroth, you get an emblem. Whenever a creature dies, target opponent loses 1 and you gain 1. Whenever he attacks, you may sacrifice any number of other creatures. If you do, draw that many cards. Very powerful effect. And then if he dies, you get this Sephiroth back, and then you can flip him and get another emblem, and the emblems do stack. And then we have Sephiroth's Intervention, destroy target creature, gain 2 life. Pretty overcosted for a destroy target spell, at least it's an instant. Sherman Reinforcements, 2 in the black, it's okay for a creature that mills you, it also gains you life. And then we have Vincent Valentine, very awesome artwork, but he's also a very fun commander, because whenever a creature an opponent control dies, put a number of +1/+1s equal to its power onto Vincent. Then whenever he attacks, you may transform him, and then he gains trample and lifelink. And then if he would die, you return him back to the battlefield as Vincent. I think he's just a fairly fun commander. And it's also could be removal tribal, because blow things up, put a bunch of power on him, and then swing in, gain a bunch of life, do a bunch of trample damage. He's 2 and 2 black. Then we have his Limit Break, a card that people infamously get wrong a lot. 1 of black tiered, so as you cast it, it's basically like Spree. But until the end of turn, target creature you control gains. When this creature dies, return it back to the battlefield tapped under its owner's control. And has the chosen base power and toughness. And then it depends on what you pick. So 0, so pay nothing, it becomes a 3/2. Pay 1, it becomes a 5/2. Pay 3, it becomes a 7/2. People think when it dies, it comes back with these sets. No, it gains these sets, and then if it does die, it just comes back as normal. And then we have these awesome alternate artworks. Yeah, just in case you wanted 2 different versions of it. There's 2 different versions of Sephiroth. There you go. Both of them are awesome. I love both versions. I love all the versions. You know, this awesome artwork of Vincent, who reminds me a lot of Vash the Stampede from Trigun. I'm guessing their designs were, whichever one came first was based on the other. And we have all the different versions. We're almost through this, because there's not a lot of 8. Barrett Wallace. 3 in a red, reach. Whenever he attacks, it deals damage equal to the number of equipped creatures you control to defending player, so kind of incentivizes you to spread your equipment out. Then we have called the Mountain Chocobo, 3 in a red, search your library for a mountain card, put it into your hand, then you make a Chocobo, then you can flashback it, you can search for any mountain, so you can find your double land type lands, so that's awesome. Haste Magic, 1 in a red for a big buff, +3/+1, instant, by the way. It gains haste, then you exile the top card of your library, and then you may play it. Nebelheim of Flame, 2 and 2 red for mythic, 2 target creature. It deals its damage equal to its power to each other creature. Then, if the spell was cast from your graveyard, discard your hand, draw 4 cards. Very awesome artwork. One of the best artworks in the set, I have to say. So this is awesome. And it's just a great, powerful card as well. So, Avalanche, Sector 7, Tuna Red. Minutes, it's equal to the number of artifacts your opponents control. Whenever an opponent activates an ability, they deal 1 damage to your player, slap some lifelink on them. And then we have Kate, Sif. Lucky Slots, at the beginning of your turn, scry one, then exile the top card of your library. You may play that card this turn. When you exile a card this way, target creature gets plus X until end of turn, where X is that card's mana value. Not the strongest card, but I do like the effect. Then we have Summon Kajuda, which is the only summon in the deck. This creature deals 3 damage to each up to 2 target creatures. Up to 3 creatures can't block this turn, and then so it's lightning, ice, and fire. Discard a card, draw 2 cards. When you discard a card this way, this creature deals damage equal to that card's mana value to each opponent. Then we have the other ultimate magic that's in the deck, Meteor. It deals 7 damage to each creature. If it was cast from exile, each opponent chooses an artifact or land that player controls, destroy the chosen permanents. Then we have this awesome artwork of Vincent. This Vincent's very powerful because I'm slowly going to start reading them because I'm getting hot. And then we have this Yuffie. I like Yuffie. She does awesome. She steals. I wanted her for my Zidane deck. Then we have Chaos Warp, reprint. Furious Rise, reprint. Hellkite Tyrant, reprint. Very surprising to see this as reprinted. Professional Facebreaker, reprint. Vandal Blast, reprint. Chocobo Racetrack, very powerful card just because you make a bird every time a land enters, and then those birds have landfall. That's just a strong effect. Then we have Diamond Weapon, cost 1 less for each permanent card in your graveyard. I do like how some of the villains kind of work together in the set. Like, you could put this in the Gogori commanders from Final Fantasy 3 and 5, and it works great in those decks because they want you to have permanents in your graveyard, and then you prevent all combat damage that would be dealt to it. You get an 8/8 with reach for 2 green mana, essentially. That's what you hope. It might cost some more sometimes, but it's also an artifact creature, so you can play with that. Reach for the horizon. This is a slam dunk in my 5-color Opps All Heroes because I run nothing but all the towns. This is a great card in there because you get to put towns into play. And they already enter tapped, so might as well put 2 towns enter tapped. Then we have side quest, raise a chocobo, enters, make a bird. Then at the beginning of your first main phase, if you control 4 or more, it becomes the black chocobo. You may search for any land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped, and then it has landfall, which says each bird you control gets +1, +0 for whenever a land enter. Then you have Summon Fat Chocobo. Look at this guy. He enters, makes a bird, and then creatures you control get trample, trample, trample. Very awesome, especially in the bird deck. Tifa, infamously powerful. Double, double, double. You can kill someone very fast with the right hand and search effects. Then we have our Limit Break, +2/+2. Then you double, and then you triple because it's tiered. Also, Traveling Chocobo. Good card, but I hate what it did to the set. More on that later. This card. This is why I hate it. Right here. This card sucks. Bugenhagen from the Commander deck. He's okay. Then we have Lifestream's Blessing. This card's amazing. Professor Hojo. This card is good. Summoning Materia. This equipment's also good. Look, it doesn't even want to load anymore. I'm not sure if there's any more, but it doesn't want to load for me, so... Even it knows I'm getting tired. Genoa, Ancient Calamity. This is great in your mutant decks from Fallout. Rufus Shinra. Whenever he attacks, he makes a dog. I think he has some wasted potential and he should do at least a little bit something else since he's kind of a major villain. He's a major side villain, but he's still a villain. He's still one of the main forces in 7, and all he does is make his dog. Then we have this Sid. We have Cloud from the starter deck. This Cloud is awesome. Then we have Sephiroth. This Sephiroth's actually awesome too. And then we have this Cloud right here. He's the face of the deck. Voltron. His effect here is strong. You can read it. Then Tifa, another great commander that people love to run. You can read her effect here. This area, if it's the one in the commander. Return target creature card from your graveyard to your hand. If you gained a bunch of life this turn, you get to put her onto the battlefield. There you go. White Crystal again. Make her the life gain commander. Actually, she's pretty powerful life gain commander if you can consistently gain 7, which should be easy. And we have the other Barret. You can make a bunch of rebels for every equipment that enters, and then you get the free attach an equipment to one of your rebels. Then we have Proud Warrior. Other modified creatures you control have Vigilance and Trample. Very powerful effect, in my opinion. Just giving Vigilance and Trample, awesome. Then we have the Sephiroth in the Commander deck, the cheapest Sephiroth. Whenever he attacks, you put a cell counter on target creature. Until the turn, each modified creature you control becomes 7/5 base power and toughness. So they get 7/5 plus all the additional benefits. And the 3 mana, sacrifice it, you get to return him from the graveyard to the battlefield tapped. Here's the card. This is from the remake because he doesn't use a bat. +2/+2, trample, lifelink. I think this is another reprint. No, this isn't a reprint because the other, yeah, it's not a reprint. Not my bad, because I'm thinking of Loxodon Warhammer, but it has colors. Loxodon doesn't. Then we have Decimate, which is a reprint. Remember, you have to have a target for each one of these to cast it. Then we have Sephiroth, the Savior, who's a different Atraxa. I don't like Atraxa, but look at all these keywords. Ooh, very cool artwork. Then we have this Yuffie of Yuriko. Ooh, I don't like Yuriko, but whatever. Then we have the Buster Sword. Very awesome artworks of these for both. Buster Sword's very powerful. Masamune, and not. I love that both equipment works with almost all the versions of the people that hold them. So the Buster Sword works with most, if not all, of the versions of Cloud, and the Masamune works with not all of them. It only works with the regular, the emblem, the one that flips and you get the emblem. Then we have Ultima Weapon. Whenever it attacks, aha, it's all 7s. Very funny. Equipped creature gets +7/+7. Destroy target creature an opponent controls whenever it attacks. That's strong. Then we have the Confirmer Shuriken, which is in the pre-con. It's okay. And then we have Wrecking Ball Arm, which is great in a legendary deck. 7/7, can't be blocked by creatures with power 2 or less, so you can't chomp it. Then we have a reprint and a reprint. Reprint, love this reprint. Reprint, reprint, reprint. Reprint, very upset that this wasn't, I don't know, I guess it would have made the pre-con too expensive or something. But I wish this was the Buster Blade itself, but whatever. Reprint, 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 great reprint, reprint. Gold Saucer, I love the Gold Saucer. Me, Guganga, Midgard, Awesome Adventure. I mean, it's kind of overcosted for this type of effects that we already have in black, but it's okay, it works. And then we have this awesome version, Bond, and all the pre-con lands. Check them out. Look at these are awesome. Please tell me I'm done with 7. Please tell me they didn't have any more extra artifacts to surprise me with. Anything else? Any extra lands? Anything special? No. Okay, we're done with 7. Oh, that's awesome. Oh, sorry. It really is getting hot, and this video is getting a bit too long for my taste. Okay, the last series of this video is going to be Final Fantasy VIII. So we have Squall Lionheart as Denitha, Captain Prodigy. People don't like this effect. I think this effect is pretty fine in equipment decks because you get First Strike, Vigilance, Lifelink on this creature. So you can suit her up and be very fine, or him up in this case. And then we have Dreams of Lagina. I love this. And it has flashback because those are technically flashbacks. It's awesome. Hey look, this is a hero they didn't print for this one. Haha. Memories returning. 2 and 2 blue. Reveal the top 5 cards of your library. Put one of them into your hand, then choose an opponent. They put one on the bottom of the library, then put one into your hand. Then they put one on the bottom of your library and put the other in your hand. So that's a very fun effect in my opinion. I like both versions of these artworks. I love this artwork. Then we have Quittis, 2 in a blue mage. 2/2, she's in my wizard deck, cause wizard. Why is she helping out the villains? I don't know, the timeline got disrupted. When she enters, you may cast target instant or sorcery card from a graveyard, and mana of any mana can be spent on it. If that spell would be put into the graveyard, exiled instead. Then we have Ultimacia, temporal threat. When she enters, tap all creatures your opponents control. Whenever a creature you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Very awesome effect, especially by yourself. You can flicker, just keep tapping down everything and keep drawing a bunch of cards. She's awesome. Then we have her as Teferi. I don't really like this Teferi because then all removal is on you, so good luck trying to stop 3 players. Then we have Cypher, who kind of looks like a Kingdom Hearts character here, but that's perfectly okay. He's 3 in a red, 3/4 Human Knight. Whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gains double strike, kind of similar to Squall when we see him later. Whenever he deals combat damage to a player, you may cast target instant or sorcery card with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard without paying its cost. If it would be cast this way, exile it. It said, I love this effect. I like both versions of this artwork. You have Sorcerer's Schemes, 3 in a red. Return target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard or exile a card with flashback you own to your hand so you can recast all your flashback spells. Or not all of them, but you can recast your flashback. And in of itself has flashback and it has a red. So, you know, kind of makes up for the mana it adds. And then we have GF Cerberus, one of my favorite summons because it has Counter Rocket, 2/2 red, Surveil 1. When you next cast an instant or sorcery spell this turn, copy it. You may choose it double, and then you do the same thing except you could copy it twice, so triple. Double, triple, very flavor win, awesome. Ifrit, looks very simple, but I like what he does. And we have Triple Triad, hate this artwork. I hate these stupid sausage fingers. I like this artwork way better. Hate these stupid sausage fingers. And this effect's kind of, it's okay. It's not the best in my opinion, but I'd love to put it in Zidane. Then we have Zell, 2 in a red, playing additional lands on each turn, which is a powerful effect, and then he gets a +1 for each land you control, but you have to return the land. I'm putting this in my partner deck of Togo and Amrix. Amrix wants you to have artifacts in the graveyard and on a battlefield, so this effect is limited to green, but since it's in red, I can put him in Togo and make double the rocks each turn, which in turn makes Amrix more powerful. Great artwork, great artwork. Then all the different versions. Love this. Promise fulfilled. We have Balam, Tex, Rexar, common card. I don't know what you want. I love that these big creatures are having these cycle cards. And then Jumbo Cactar, which people love it or hate it. I think it's absolutely hilarious, but people hate it because look at this effect. I think it's funny. You can do so many crazy things with it. We have Renoa, who's okay. I like the +1/+1 for each creature you control, and then whenever she enters, you get to make her dog, so that's pretty nice. I hate that you can't put her with Squall, which I love this Squall. Whenever a creature you attacks alone, it gains double strike. And then whenever he deals combat damage, you may return a permanent with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. You don't have to pay anything, he just has to deal combat damage. So he's a pretty fun. I'm going to put him in my Knights deck. I love Squall, he's awesome. Then Ultimacia, who's in my Wizards deck. Enters or attacks Surveil 2, she flips, you get to gain an extra turn, but man, look at that price to pay for it. And then we have this Sid, who technically is one of the non-Artificer based Sids. Lionheart, best weapon in the game. It's an okay effect. You can kind of like destroy it and bring it back, and destroy it and bring it back to keep doing shock to anything, so that's nice. Then we have, I think this is the only common legendary artifact. It's a okay effect. I mean, it's a common, what else do you expect? But it is the only legendary artifact at common, so I think. Don't quote me on that. We have Poo Poo UFO. Love this card. I put him in my town deck. He's a better walking atlas, so there's that. But, well, I can't really say he's better because his second ability only applies if you have towns, but he has flying. And then we have Relentless XAUT. Not a good card, but I do like the flavor of it coming back and then blowing up again like it does in the story. Then we have the lands. I love Balam Garden. Again, you can only really put this in a town deck, but it flips into this. Whenever it attacks, draw a card, crew it with 1, which is pretty funny because you only need 1 person to fly it in the game. So then we have the Command Beacon version of Balam Garden, which is a great card. It sucks if you're a standard player and you pull this though, because you can't use it in standard. So I'm sorry if it got rushed towards the end, but oh my gosh, it's so hot. Now I want to talk about this set. I both love this set, but I also hate this set, specifically because if we go back here, this I think is absolutely awful for the state of Magic, because people are buying collector boosters. I mean, they jumped from $800 to $1,200, and they were projected to jump to $2,000 because people are trying to crack this super card. Yeah, let's put a chase card in there. I hate that they put a chase card. It makes Final Fantasy, like, it's one of the most selling sets, but it's also one of the worst sets, because this shows Wizards that, hey, if we print a really expensive chase card, like, it's not only Final Fantasy fans. Like, Final Fantasy fans are a big part of it, because this is, like, one of the best selling sets, but I hate I hate that this is a chase card that you can only get in collector boosters, mind you. So you already have to spend a pretty penny to even try to get this. Just like Lord of the Rings has the one ring, but man, this card is awful. I hate this card. Not Traveling Chocobo. I hate chase cards so much. Even if I had the money to buy collector booster boxes like they were nothing, I would still hate this. This is absolutely awful for Magic. Now, I also hated that 14, whenever I get to it, if I even review it in this, because I don't know that much about 14, so I'm not going to be a good judgment on all the cards. But I hate that 14 and 7 got milked. I mean, you saw how many copies of Sephiroth there was. And that's another thing. I hate seeing all the different artworks. Like, I like full arts, okay? But do we really need extended art? I mean, this has been a problem for a while with all the different variants. But you have normal foil, extended art foil. You have variant art foil. Then you have extended art surge foil. Then you have variant art surge foil. Variant art regular foil. You have so many different types of each cards, and it's kind of just like a lot of fluff. It's a lot of nothing. I mean, it gives you more chance to open them in packs, but there's so many variants that I just don't think it's necessary. It makes your deck look cooler, sure, but I don't know. If I have the original card, I think I'm happy. Like, it's cool if you crack an extended art or variant art, but as long as I have the original card and I'm able to play it, like Sephiroth base card, just the base Sephiroth that flips and you get the emblem, he's like $55 right now. Then you have extended arts, and then you have the variant arts, then you had the 2 different versions for him, and it's like, I get it, people love Sephiroth, but jeez. And that kind of plays into like 17 and 14 just have so many cards, and we lost out on cards for other games. Like, there's no, for Final Fantasy 2, there's no Maria and Guy, or the 4th guy. He joins at the end. I forgot his name, but there's not Dad in there. For 5, we don't have, what's her name? But we don't have Ferris, and I forget her name. Let me look it up real quick. We don't have Lena. So yeah, we got Bartz, but we had Bartz and Boko, and then we had an alternate art for Bartz, and it's like, okay, I want a regular Bartz that isn't with Boko that I can use on its own, because I'm not going to have a bird commander, and I don't want to use Winota. I just want regular Bartz. And then we didn't get Lena, or we had Goloff. We have Goloff Sacrifice, but we don't have a Goloff card. And then we don't have Ferris, which could have been Pirates, which could have played with Vaughn later on in 12, who has a card base for Pirates. Ferris herself is a pirate, and that was missed. And then we have Krill, who takes over Goloff, which they could have played into not a reanimation, but a copy mechanic, like she copies a card in the graveyard or something like that. We could have just had so much stuff. And like, we don't have Princess Sarah from the first game. I mean, she wasn't that big, but we could have had the witch in the cave, Mayota, or the Elven King, or Prince, not a king, or is it a king, or the Elven Prince. There's so many, I think, key characters that got missed out on because 14 and 7 are the most popular games. Like, 8, we're missing Irving and Selfie, which Irving could have done another equipment thing, and then Selfie is another wizard thing. But still, it would be nice to have all the main protagonists as playable card, but we don't. I mean, I was surprised seeing 6 as a commander deck, and then I was surprised by the deck list that they at least have a card for every single person. I mean, Realm and Sketch. Shrago and Realm don't have a separated card. Like, there is no Shrago card. It's just Realm and Shrago. But I wish they had separated cards. But it's just, it feels like 14 and 7 got milked extremely hard. Like, I get it. Those are the most popular games. But at the same time, I kind of wish all the other heroes got a bit of love too. Now, those are the only heroes well, no. Final Fantasy 12, there's no Vash, and then there's no Penelope, who's a hero. There's no Vash, who's a hero. And again, Maria, Guy, Irving, Selfie, Lena, Ferris. It just feels like there's a lot of missed opportunity here just because we have to give 7 and 14 all the cards. Now, I'm a big fan of 7 and 14. I used to say I hated, but I kind of come back around on it. So I'm not that much of a hater, but I just, between the gold chocobo and missing out, I love this set. But at the same time, there's just, I don't know, we're never going to have, I don't think we're ever going to have another Final Fantasy set because they got all of them in this one, so why would they need another set? But I'm happy with what I got. And now, I was going to go over my pools, but this video is already super long, and I don't want to tack on all my pools I got. So if you really want to see what I pulled so far, I guess let me know in the comments. And I'll make like a Reddit post or a Twitter post or a community post on YouTube about it. So if you guys really want to see all my pools, because I don't want this video to be as much longer as it is. But man, there's so many cards. And man, do I have so many more cards coming up. So subscribe and stay tuned for that in months past once I beat 16. Yep, once I beat 16, I'll make part 2 of this video. But if you guys enjoyed this, like, subscribe, all of that. Let me know in the comments what you think about this set, what your favorite card is, you know, all that good stuff. Just let me know what you think about this set. I already said that. But what's your opinion on the chase cards and all these variants? And what do you think they could have done better? Or what do you think they got right? So just let me know that in the comments below. And this has been the Goblin King. Remember, this and the next video are the only Magic the Gathering stuff I do. I might do actual play, but I'll let you guys know if I ever do that, just as a warning. So, I hope you guys have enjoyed the video. I'm melting, literally now, in my cave. So, I hope you guys have a lop of a day. My social media is in the description below. Yeah, that's what I'm ending it off on. Yeah, get out of here.